Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Scope. It's the only show that's part of this complete breakfast. I'm your announcer, Tony Partington. Coming up on this edition of The Scope...
Hey, Scope faithful! Jared,
what's up?
Jared and Shane here. Another Scope Summer Movie Slam exclusive preview review.
We are slamming... Just about every week we've been slamming something.
Wow. That is something else, Jared. Yes, this time around it is the eagerly anticipated follow-up to the cult classic comic book Kick-Ass. We're talking about Kick-Ass 2. That would be a proper follow-up, Jared.
Well, it does come sequentially.
It does. This is the sequel to the 2000...
I don't even know.
10? I think it's about 2010 this movie came out, based on the Mark Miller, John Romita Jr. 2007 comic book. This one tells the story of Kick-Ass and his further adventures, Jared.
Indeed.
This time around,
he sort of spawned a world of superheroes around him. People have been inspired by his Kick-Ass character and have taken up characters of their own.
Yep.
To go out and fight crime in the streets.
They'll go out and buy themselves like a Columbia jacket, put a pinstripe on it, put a mask on, get a baseball bat, and kick some butt.
Yeah.
So, Jared, since you are the master of actors and actresses, who was in this movie? Go ahead.
Well, in the lead role, Kick-Ass, you've got Aaron Johnson.
What else have we seen Senior Johnson
in Kick-Ass.
Yeah?
Probably other stuff.
Yeah, I think he's been in a movie or two, perhaps.
I remember him because I had a kid in high school I went to with his name Aaron Johnson. So that's why that name sticks with me.
Okay, good. Who plays Hit Girl?
Hit Girl's played by Chloe Grace Moretz, or is it Moretz? I don't remember if there's an N in there or not, but you'll also see her in the upcoming Carrie remake.
Is she playing Carrie, or
she's playing Carrie?
Okay.
Yes. And she's been in other films, obviously, like Let Me In and stuff.
And My Big Pouty Lips, she was in that movie. I like that.
Yes.
We've got
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey shows up in this movie.
Plays Captain Stars and Stripes. You've got, I didn't even realize that Donald Faison was in there
from Scrubs.
He's Dr. Gravity. You've got, what's his name from The Office? Dwight Jr.
Yep.
I forget his name, but he's in there.
The other guy that played Kick-Ass's other friend from American Horror Story is not in this. They recast him.
Did they?
Yep.
They did. Evan Peter? Yeah, he's not in here. You're right.
He was not in this movie. That's when I saw him and I looked at you. There was a different guy.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Good catch.
Thank you.
Morris Chestnut plays the character who, I forget his name, but he is the guardian of Mindy, Hit Girl, since Big Daddy is no longer with us. And
who plays the mother effer?
The motherfucker. That is McLovin.
Yeah.
That is something Mintz Place. I think his name is Christopher Mintz Place.
Pretty good, Jared. Let's go with that.
John Leguizamo is his sort of his hired hand. Who else?
The guy from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, he makes an
appearance. The
Khaleesi? Yeah, Sir Jorah Mormont is in here. I don't know. I forget who plays him. Like, his name's like Ian Glenn or something.
A lot of strange little cameos in this
There's
film.
a lot of cameos and stuff like that. So basically, those are the people I can remember.
So let's give an overview of this movie. We'll try to do it spoiler free. To be frank with you, the plot is pretty A, B, C, D. You know what's going to happen, it's not like we're changing the world here.
So basically, it starts out Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is kind of wanting to form a superhero duo with Hit Girl, and it sort of works for a little bit. She starts training him and stuff like that until it comes out that she's been cutting school, and the Guardian guy, I can't remember her name. Marvin? Morris? Maybe it is Morris? I don't remember.
Yeah.
He basically makes her promise not to do Hit Girl anymore. And so she stops, and she sort of throws herself into high school life.
Where you get sort of the mini Mean Girls movie, right in the middle of it.
Yeah, so she sort of becomes buddy-buddy with the popular girls, only to get sort of sabotaged later on. And then she eventually, obviously discovers her true self, which is Hit Girl, and she puts on the costume. Anyway, meantime, Hit Girl... I've sort of spoiled a bunch of stuff there, sorry.
Wow. You just broke all your rules.
Whoops. Meanwhile, in search of companionship, Kick-Ass sort of seeks out another team of heroes.
Yep. And these are all regular Joes. They're not trained, really, for the most part.
And so he sort of joins up with them, and they're called Justice Forever. And this is where he meets Captain Stars and Stripes, Dr. Gravity,
the human bug or the insect,
the insect guy, and Night Bitch, who he... I
kind of like that name.
Yeah. Seems to have an attraction to. Anyway, they go out and they fight crime, and are doing good. And meanwhile, you've got
McLovin.
McLovin.
He's angry.
He is no longer Red Mist. Mom has thrown out his Red Mist costume, but she, of course, meets an unfortunate fate, and now McLovin is on his own with all this money, and he decides that he's going to become the motherfucker,
the world's first supervillain, and he's going to exact revenge on Kick-Ass.
He starts recruiting people using his vast financial fortunes. So he recruits a bunch of hired guns who are very good at things, and so on and so forth.
And eventually it leads to a giant showdown between Kick-Ass and the motherfucker.
Yeah,
and their gangs, I guess. Or
pretty much.
That's essentially what happens.
That's the story.
That's your story. So it was a packed house. The crowd seemed to like it. I have just seen Kick-Ass, the movie, 2 days ago. I read the first comic book, and I've read some of the follow-up Kick-Ass 2. And my complaint with the first Kick-Ass movie was there's a tonal shift from the comic to the movie. And the comic, the guy that Kick-Ass, the kid, is much more of a sad sack. They have much more of he has a sad life. He does not get along with his father.
In the comic book?
In the comic book. Okay. His father's a depressed man. He doesn't really get the girl in the end. You know, his girl, when she finds out he's Kick-Ass, she dumps him and gets with another guy. He doesn't really have a happy ending, even after sort of winning at the end of the comic book. And Hit Girl and Big Daddy are also a little bit different. In the comic, Big Daddy is a guy who... He's sort of a crazy person. He says that he's a former cop who was disgraced by the gang, and he's going to come back and exact revenge. When we find out at the very end that that's not really true. It was all a cover, and he was just a bored accountant who sort of brought his daughter into this life and existence.
And that's all the comic book.
And that's how the comic book goes, and that comic sort of ends with that. And Kick-Ass 2 then also... starts with them trying to find other superheroes, and I just sort of got about halfway through it.
Okay.
It seemed like there was some parallels. The other thing with the comic book is they take a much more brutal, believe it or not, a brutal approach to the violence. I mean, the violence is really over the top. It's not... I never really found it fun to read. I mean, it was so... I mean, it was... They really got off on showing this 10-year-old girl just completely destroying people in any method and manner you could think of.
Yeah.
In the movie, it was almost played for laughs. I mean, it was like in a video game setting. I didn't...
Are we talking the first movie now?
The first movie.
Okay.
And so that will lead
we
me...
are reviewing the second
that
movie, right?
That will lead me into the second movie.
Okay.
So, I mean, So it was a tonal shift. It was almost lighthearted. It was how I described the first movie to you was Sam Raimi's Spider-Man meets almost like, Battle Royale. I mean, it was the tone was different than what I thought.
Okay.
So the second one, I was curious to see how it would play out. And it was more of the same, but at the same time, it was almost more sanitized. Like, the violence was less brutal.
So?
Yes. I mean, there was mostly just people hitting each other. They showed less of the consequences of the violence. They eliminated almost all gunplay, which in the first one, there was a ton of gun stuff.
Absolutely.
Because you would think that if you were going to go out and clear up street justice, guns would be a major part of it. But yet, most of the time, they were hitting each other with blunt weapons. So I felt the violence was less, and I felt it was more cartoony. And maybe that fit in with the feeling in this movie that, you had, like, these just average, everyday Joes dressing up superheroes and hitting each other with spiked purses and sticks. It felt less intense, and it felt more almost like satire.
Yeah, at the same time, though, they did have a moment where it does get really real and brutal, and a lot of them just walk away.
From time to time, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just felt like it could have been more so, especially at the end. and in some of the big battle scenes. That's just sort of what I thought. I think that this movie had a lot of comedy, which was, more effective maybe in a big room, and more effective than the first movie, which I actually really enjoyed. And the weird stuff with Hit Girl being in school in the high school, it was so out of place, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, it was neat. I don't know, it was sort of two movies. For the middle part of it, it really felt like two different movies. Yeah. Not necessarily distractingly so, but, Kick-Ass and Hit Girl were on different paths there for a while. So.
And in the comic book, they have a Hit Girl comic book series because she's so popular.
Yeah.
This movie almost could have been about Hit Girl and her story of trying to assimilate to a regular life.
That kind of felt like initially that's where it was headed.
Yeah, it was
sort of balanced it out more as it went along.
Yeah.
It was definitely front-loaded a lot of Hit Girl.
Yes. And I liked it. I like the Hit Girl. I think Hit Girl is a more intriguing character than Kick-Ass, at least in the terms of this. Just because, even at the end of the movie, you really only have two hired killers. You've got Mother Russia and you've got Hit Girl. Everybody else is pretending to be a killer. Yeah. They're hitting each other with sticks. They're not really sure what to do. Even Kick-Ass and the motherfucker, I don't know. They just still seem like boys trying to be men. That's sort of.
I would disagree half of that. I would agree that that the motherfucker is definitely a boy trying to be a man and is probably not up to this, adult world that he's decided to be a part of. I don't know. I feel like Kick-Ass kind of has sort of matured and figured out.
He can be the true vigilante.
Figured out who he is now. So at least by the end, he definitely went through this, period during the film of trying to figure out, does he still want to do this? Is he supposed to be doing this? Is it stupid? Dealing with consequences of it.
Sure. I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think that he had necessarily the chops to do what needed to be done in that moment necessarily, but that's just me. And
I think by the final act he's earned it. I think.
All right. Okay. Well,
that's my.
I guess we'll have to disagree on that.
He's done the training. It's not like in the first one where he just put on a suit and decided to go out and fart around.
He was buff. I won't.
He's been training and preparing for this, so
maybe it's just my take that to be a true vigilante, to clean the streets up, you have to be able to go and be to the level of what Hit Girl is, and maybe he just wasn't. And when I mean that, I mean you're essentially being a killer. So, but maybe that's what makes him a hero. I don't know.
That he's not willing.
He's not willing to do that necessarily. I don't know. That really wasn't a big part of the movie, so I don't want to belabor the fact that will he or won't he kill people, because that really wasn't. It wasn't an issue in the first movie, right?
I feel like that's an important distinction though between who he is and who Hit Girl is.
Maybe, yeah.
Is that she is obviously willing to do whatever it takes, and he has a line, but he doesn't want to cross.
Sure.
So,
I talked a lot. You go ahead and talk a little bit.
Well, I'm going to come out and say it. I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
I think, for me, this is the comic book movie of the summer. I liked it better than Man of Steel, and I liked it better than Iron Man 3. So there. I'm on the record.
Okay.
You brought it up earlier, how you said, the plot is A, B, C. It's very linear. You kind of know where it's going to go. But I was okay with that. I kind of really enjoyed the journey, and I liked a lot of the characters. Jim Carrey's character is...
He's pretty good.
He's good. He's really good. He's and like a lot of the heroes, they're just sort of, weird and kind of over the top in their own ways. But, in this universe, it really, really works. So for me, I enjoyed all the performances. I even like the side story with Hit Girl, where it becomes, like you said, Mean Girls for a while. It wasn't super distracting, and it sort of was a nice character arc for her to kind of figure out who she is and what she's going to do with her life.
Yeah.
So where I think it struggles a little bit is this guy, Pizza Guy, does not want to be behind me at all. Holy cow.
He's got some piping hot Pizza Hut to deliver, Jared. That thin crust ain't cooking itself.
This is what the mobile reviews give you guys. It's that visceral experience of being with us in the vehicle as we...
risking our lives.
Exactly. I think where maybe the film struggles a bit is in tone. It's sort of, at times it's the cartoony, over-the-top, comical side of things, and other times it's super serious and really, really brutal.
Mostly when people are getting knives shoved in there.
And it's a delicate tightrope that doesn't always work. But I didn't feel like I was being pulled too far to one side or the other, so much that I couldn't enjoy it.
That was a major issue for me in the first movie as well. Is trying to strike the right tone. I actually think that the correct tone for these movies are slightly more serious.
Yeah.
That's just what I think. You're going and killing people, and the fact that they're going out there and putting their lives in danger is not necessarily a laugh riot. So, it's one of those things where tone is a big issue for me on this one.
But I think for the most part, it strikes the right tone at the right time. Like
Sure.
when things need to get serious, it gets serious. When you need a little bit lighter moment, it gives it to you. Are the lighter moments appropriate all the time? I don't know, maybe, but that's a judgment call that each person has to make. But
Yes.
I definitely liked this one better than the first one. I liked, not loved the first one, mostly because I didn't like how they resolved the big final boss fight at the end.
Yeah.
And you agree with me with the whole jetpack Gatling gun thing?
Yeah.
Or bazooka, whatever.
Completely.
It was bullshit. It was
convenient.
It was never earned. And that bothered me. I didn't feel like they did that in this film at all. So
Yeah, they didn't have anything in this world that was like, crazy. For the most part, this is fairly grounded in
I don't
reality-ish. So they're not out, and you don't have people with like rocket cars or shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
like that's the problem with the first one is they wanted to portray this as superheroes existing in the real world and how would they deal with it.
And then they give you a rocket pack.
And you give them a rocket pack, which is like that's completely ridiculous. The only thing I could probably say in the second one that may or may not happen was the special vomiting stick thing that they introduced.
Or some of the supervillains that he recruited, which were almost superhero. But then again, you could say, or super strength.
Right.
You could say that about Hit Girl too. I mean, there's the time where she's rolling around on top of the van where she would have been dead. I mean,
sure.
Right? I mean, where she's avoiding the bullets.
Sure, but she wasn't using some sort of magical technology to do it. So
it was movie magic.
It's sort of pushing the boundaries, but not so far that you couldn't see it possibly happening in real life. So that's where I think the second one excels farther than the first one. So.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing I do want to point out, and this was the same issue with the first one, special effects are a bit weak. I mean,
they can be.
Let's be honest. I mean, it doesn't necessarily take away from the enjoyment of the movie because, we've seen other bad special effect movies this year, like R.I.P.D., where, they probably had more money and they looked slightly better, but the rest of the movie was so terrible.
The problem, but there aren't a lot of things that rely on special effects in this one, so...
And the thing is, you have people making their own costumes, and they look like they made their own costumes. Maybe that's part of the problem, too, is that it's so silly, but if that's what people were doing, with the exception of, like, the spiked bats. But, I mean, the costume stuff itself looks like stuff that you would see out in the real world. So
athletic wear.
But it's weird. It's weird, but that's, I mean...
That's
I think
the world that
that's what they're sort of showing.
Created, so I don't know.
So there you go. We've seen the sequel. I think that it will be well received by comic book fans and the nerdy set. I think the audience was full of a lot of those type of people. They really enjoyed it.
Definitely a different crowd than The Butler, who was also screening at this theater.
And I think that for me, I have to, think about my score because I have to approach it either from a standard movie viewing or I have to put on my geek glasses and look at it through there.
Okay.
So let's give it a score.
All right.
The Scope score is 3 1/4 stars.
So 3 1/4.
Back-to-back 3 1/4 films.
It was a heavily debated film. I think Jared liked it a lot more than I disliked it. I won't say dislike it, that I was indifferent to it.
I will say it again. For me, it's the comic book movie of the summer.
I don't disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think that the bar was kind of low overall. I think that there was massive disappointments. The one thing about this universe that we talk about being true to the universe that it exists in. I don't always think that Tony Stark did it in Iron Man 3. I don't think that Man of Steel always did it. In this movie, I think that they stayed very, very true to what they were trying to portray and the rules that they set up.
Yep.
Even if I don't always like them.
They were consistent.
I think they were consistent.
So.
And I think that a lot of the weakness in the movie for me was overcome by some really funny stuff in there, some decent acting by Jim Carrey. I was surprised by him, and some pretty good action scenes that were fun to watch.
Indeed.
So
get out there and watch it so we can get a third one. They sort of tease where things might go.
There's definitely a third one in the works if enough people are going to go see it.
And stick around to the end credits, because there's something at the end.
A lot of the impatient bastards left. And even some people were commenting on outside saying, "Oh, this is what happened," when they don't even know.
They don't even know. They don't even know.
So everybody get ready. We've got one more review that's going to be... I don't even know. Does that come out the same Friday, Jared?
I don't know. It's sort of a regional sort of
so it may be.
So we may get it out this week. It may come out later, but I think that movie is showing in select cities now. So
maybe but we've still got movies to go.
Yeah.
It's an exciting summer, Jared, even if it's winding down.
Indeed, we're gonna have to start thinking of what the autumn film series is.
Oh my goodness, we struggled just to get this name.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up. Let's let you get home. I need a snack.
Do that. You snack it up.
So thanks for listening, Scope. Thanks for listening, Scope listeners. All right. Arrivederci, bitches.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. The days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying arrivederci. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.